Today I'm sat down with a rider who has won over 350 wins in his career so far. He's also won 8 5-star Grand Prix. He's won the Longines Global Champions Tour Super Grand Prix last year. He's been to the Tokyo Olympics, 2 World Equestrian Games, as well as 2 World Cup finals. I'm thrilled today to sit down with Abdel Saïd. Abdel, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
And for making time.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to be having this sit down with you.
I'm especially excited because we actually known each other for a long time, right? We used to compete at pony shows, international junior shows. And already back in the day, I remember looking at you as someone who just very talented, and you made it look so effortless already at that time. I'd love to know, how do you see yourself as a rider, but also as a person?
Oh, that's a hard question. I mean, we definitely do go way back. It was a fun time of our lives, I think. But yeah, today, how do I see myself as a rider? I think I'm a soft rider. I think I'd say I'd see myself, or I'd like to be someone who's close to his horses. I don't like to ride by force. I like to work hard at home to educate my horses, to be able to make it look harmonious in the ring, and that we are one. That's the ultimate goal. I'm not saying it always works out, but I'd say that's more the category of rider I am.
Mm-hmm. Does that match in terms of, like, who are you as a person?
As a person, I'd say I'm pretty easygoing in many ways. I'm not the easiest in some, if I'm really honest. I put a lot of pressure on myself and the people around me. I really want us to get the best out of ourselves. I hate this feeling of, afterwards ever feeling I didn't do enough. So this is something, of course, that comes also with negatives, because I create pressure sometimes on my inner circle. And that's hard. That's not for everyone. So I guess that's maybe a little more negative side of me. But in general, I'm pretty positive. I like to see the best in every situation. I like to believe. I'm not a person who will look at a big challenge and be like, oh, we can't get there. I'm more like, okay, let's go and try, and we see how far we come. Mm-hmm. I don't believe anything is impossible. I've seen it with many people in business, in sport, in our sport. I think if you persevere, work hard enough, you get there. So I'd say that's a little bit more my approach.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, generally high achievers, they have high standards, right? It sounds like that might be a little bit the case.
Yeah, I don't know. You tell me. You're the pro. You're the pro.
Anyway, well, I'm sure we'll at some point learn through this interview. But tell us a little bit more about, obviously, originally coming from Egypt. Like, how did you get into the sport in the first place, and how did you end up in the Netherlands?
So that's a good question, actually. It started very casual. You're young in Egypt in general, in the culture. Your parents would enroll you in different sports. We lived on a farm, so we did have Arabian horses, but more to play with and see and touch and so. So I was surrounded by animals. But then I did different sports. I did swimming, I did taekwondo, I did tennis and horse riding. And then, honestly, quickly on, I realized that riding is what I wanted to continue. I really loved this connection with the horse, and it was special. Where the other sports were nice and fun, but I didn't feel the same feeling. Mm-hmm. So I was very, very lucky, and I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without my parents. They invested in it, and they started to investigate how can I get better. They realized, okay, he has to go to Europe. So when I started coming to Europe when I was 9, doing summer camps. When I was 10, doing summer camps and buying a horse or 2. And then my parents met the Hendricks family, and they had a very good feeling with them. We were very lucky to meet good people early on. Mm-hmm. I came back when I was 11, and it was never the plan to stay. And by the end of the summer, my parents came to me and said, you know what, we bought this house. You're moving to Europe. Mom's moving with you.
Wow.
You're going to this international school in Eindhoven, and you'll be based with Emil Hendricks and the family Hendricks from now on.
Wow.
Simple as that.
Yeah. I guess you need a bit of that support and luck sometimes as well. Yeah. So you really fully got into riding more full-time only at that age, is that right? 11, 12?
Yeah, I mean, I was doing it in Egypt full time.
Yeah,
Full
okay.
time. I mean, I was going to school and then riding in the evenings. But I was doing it pretty serious, competing in the divisions in the 110 and 120,
Right.
115, well, you know, the lower levels.
Yeah.
But when I came to Europe, then things became more concrete. We started the juniors, like we said, together.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, which was, you know, and then the path led to where we are today.
Yeah. Do you believe that having the right people around you, especially trainers at that age, like how important is that?
I think it's extremely important, and if I may say, I'd like to kind of go even further back out. Of course, being in a situation where you can have Emil Hendricks as your trainer full time is incredible, but I would say you can also put it under seeking knowledge for someone who's maybe not able to support themselves, or they don't have the financial capacity straight away to get an Emil Hendricks. There's other ways to go around it, but want to seek knowledge and want to work hard to get that knowledge. If you don't have, let's say, directly the financial means, invest yourself, invest your time, because this is for me everything. This pays off later. It's your base, it's your access to contacts, it's your education. It's like getting free university.
Yes.
Make sure you do it. That's my only advice to young people.
Yeah, beautiful. So what I hear you say is, no matter what your background is, right? If that was, you know, financially maybe a little easier or not, regardless, seeking the right people, but also especially learning, you know, being eager to learn and understand and read, do whatever you can to gain the knowledge, so that you with that you always get a step further. Is that right?
100% agree. I really, really believe in that, and I think it's something that even if you had the choice between maybe going to jump already 2-star shows without the education, a lot of young people today would take that, and I see that so often. And then in the end, the career kind of crashes because they reach a point of unknown territory, things don't work out, they end up giving up.
Yeah.
But if you get the education, it's like you're learning to become a pilot. You don't go fly the plane before you do your school.
Yeah.
You know, even if you're very talented, you're the best pilot in the world, you need to do your school.
Yes.
And that's the only advice, or one of the few things that I think are so important, and I'd like to advise young people.
What are the ways that you have done that, like apart from having access to great trainers? Like, what have you done in your career that you say, like, there I really went way beyond to kind of get that information or learn or to set myself up for success?
I was always very curious. I still am, even more so than ever, I'd say. Watching the warm-up, watch all these stuff. You have access to that as well. But on the other side, I also ask people questions, you know, in a nice way. Don't obviously annoy them, but if you see an opportunity, sit down with a Jeroen Dubbeldam or sit down with a Ludger Beerbaum. A lot of these people are happy. They're much easier to approach than we think. Approach them, ask them questions, and you know, and maybe ask, okay, can I do an internship by you? I'll invest myself, my time, I'll work for you against no financial gains, but you'll gain so much knowledge. And that's the part where I find today not everyone, but a lot of the younger generation, they want straight away a good wage, they want a lorry full of horses, go to the big shows. I don't know how realistic that is.
Yes, yeah. So what you're saying is seek out those people, and then not necessarily for your career straight away to be given to you, but actually to learn, to absorb as much as you can, right?
100%, and that will give your career.
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
But later on.
That's it. It's a slight mindset shift, but it's a very important one, right?
I really believe in it.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Just like going into the ring, if you want those results immediately, they're not going to come. But if you focus on the process and you just focus on the most important things, absorbing that in that moment, the results will come to you.
It's nice hearing it from you, because again, you are the professional, and that's the conclusion I've come to by trial and error, obviously. But it's nice to hear it. It gives me also a lot of confidence, but that's exactly the conclusion that I've come to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, obviously it's working, right? There's a lot of evidence to say so. And there has also been a time for you that's maybe been difficult. tell us about the journey towards your first Olympics. You know, what I remember, 2019, you managed to qualify with Team Egypt for
Yeah.
those Olympics in 2020. Then, you know, having a barn full of amazing horses, and then 2020, as we all know, COVID hit. Tell us about that journey.
Well, the year towards the Olympics was an amazing journey for us, for me and my teammates at the time, especially Samah and Nael, because we had great contact. It was a super exciting way to do it. You know, we didn't have the big financial support through the country, actually none. You know, and but we worked really close. There was mutual respect. It was a day that I probably enjoyed maybe the most. That was the best victory, I'd say, even more than winning the biggest individual Grand Prix. Um, and we worked so hard. We made it our target, and we just stuck together. And you know, when we arrived there, okay, I mean this in a fun way, but a lot of the countries, without saying names, came with 3 trainers, a private jet, I don't know, 5 vets, and whatever else. And we were kind of hustling over there, and no chef d'équipe, no trainer. My personal vet, like the vet that works with me, was the one helping us, was not even an official team vet. And we didn't just qualify, we went on to win the Nations Cup that day with 4 faults. So that was a really an incredible moment, and we qualified. If I'm being honest with you, after that moment on, sadly, and also that's what led to me changing countries, you know, it wasn't a very pleasant period. It was always complex there in the federation. The people that ran it were a little bit wiggly, let's leave it at that. And then after that, it became very tough. You know, then they kind of, once the qualification was there, they wanted to do their own thing, get their own people in there. And so Tokyo Olympics, I'd say as an athlete, for sure it was a dream. But me personally, if I'm being really frank with you, hasn't been the best experience for me. That team feeling totally dropped. The focus became different. So yeah, that it was an experience to know what not to do again, or what not to want to experience again. And hopefully I'm looking forward to the future.
Thanks for opening up about that, because obviously I know, having spoken to so many riders over the years, that this unfortunately is more of a rule than an exception, right? That the moment there is an opportunity, you know, things dramatically change. So then, and we'll dive into that a little bit more later, but tell us about actually getting to Tokyo and what that experience was like for you being there.
Yeah, it's been, you know, it's like a childhood dream. You know, since I was young, you dream the Olympics, the Olympics, the Olympics. It's the biggest thing you can do in a sportsman career, not only in show jumping. So the whole experience to get there and to be there, of course, was incredible, and see the other athletes and, you know, be a part of this incredible event. But it taught me a lot of things. I mean, the Olympics, if you go more technical, it's a very different competition than what we do on weekly basis. I mean, in a different way. You have Aachen, you have Spruce Meadows, you have the Olympics, the WEG, those championships in general, and some of these big shows are just different. But especially the Olympics, every jump was a monument. You know, it was so impressive for the horses. It was very interesting for me to see what I need for the next one.
Yes.
You know, and like I said in the beginning, I love to learn and analyze things, and for me, I really noticed that you need a very scopy horse, a very powerful horse, a very brave horse as well, to take on all these questions. I think it is important. It is important.
I'm even going to throw something else into the mix. What I've observed is that exactly what you're saying is that at these championships, something shifts also in terms of the energy, the dynamic, right? I wonder how you've experienced that, because you know, even I think having been at other championships, you can feel the tension, but Olympic Games is a different ballgame, isn't it? Do you believe that the horses can feel that as well?
Absolutely, and I think that's where it's important to do your homework at home, you know, with your mental coaching. I think being mentally strong in that moment to say, no, I won't change too much. I won't let that take over in that moment, that excitement, that pressure.
Yeah.
You have to just stay quiet and do what you do at 100%, yes, but not all of a sudden let that take over and start changing things. And that's what I noticed, you know, over there. You see the guys that have routine, they have confidence, it goes a little bit together.
Yeah.
They have a system. Then that year the Swedes were incredible, and I was watching them, and they were performing like machines, like robots, like army style, you know, bam, 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 no emotions. It's like, are these guys real, or are they from a different planet?
They too had to work really hard for that, you know. That was obviously also not their first rodeo, and I think, you know, it just shows that being able to just stay so centered in those moments is not easy. Right?
No,
it is not something that you just have. That's something that some have to learn through experience, and some might even be able to learn beforehand, getting ready. But tell us about, you know, going into that first round or going into the qualifier. What happened?
Yeah, for me it was quite tough because I warmed up. My horse warmed up very well, so the warm-up went great. He was actually quite relaxed, but of course they didn't have the funky jumps out. They had a pretty simple set of jumps. And again, that's my lesson. I had won a 5-star Grand Prix that year. I was 5th in Rome, or 6th. I was clear in the Grand Prix. You know, so he's had good results, but I didn't have him that long. And I feel that that really affected me there. You need a partnership. So going into the first day, I remember it was a long approach to the Rio Oxer. It was the Rio jump.
Right.
And it was a big filler underneath, and it was a long approach away from the in-gate, and he dropped a little bit of the bridle, and we kind of went through the first fence, which was not like us. Like I said, the results were very strong. I think I was ranked around, you know, in the top 60 of the world with Bandit at the time. And I was like, oh my God, this is a long way around when you crash through the first jump at the Olympic Games. But I said to myself, we're gonna go from A to B, and we have to finish this course. We didn't come all the way here to go home. So we maneuvered through it together a little bit. Then we were okay until we came around the rollback to this sumo wrestler guy. Who was quite impressive. He caused some damage that day. And Bandit saw the sumo guy, and he's like, no, that's not for me. So he ran by. But then we came back, and actually we finished home. So it was a pretty short experience for me. That was the only thing. I didn't jump anymore. But again, you know, these things, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I came home from it. I said to myself, okay, I made a list of what I need to work on. And we got started working.
Was it your decision not to continue after that round?
Yes, because it was coming the Nations Cup. The other colleagues, the horses looked in better situation, better shape at that moment. And I didn't want to put my horse through that and go and you know, when you feel that your horse is not comfortable, you have to say no. Yeah, and not hope for a miracle and put your horse through that and obviously yourself, but mainly concern was my horse. Why should I break his heart here? You know, there was so much yet to come, and he wasn't feeling it, so we called it a day.
Yeah, that's horsemanship, right? At the end of the day. Yeah, putting your dream to the side and choosing the horse.
I think it's so important. In the end, you know, they are the center of attention, and they do so much for us. We have to respect them, and you have to feel. They can't speak, so you have to feel, you know, what they're trying to tell you, and to give them a long career, like I said, they have to be comfortable. Otherwise, they don't last.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said you came home, you straight away looked at, right, what can we learn?
Yeah.
And, well, first of all, what did you learn?
Well, I learned a few points. First of all, a little bit the lead up to the games with our little bit unprofessional situation of the country set up at that time from the federation. I decided straight away to change. Said I don't want to do this anymore. So the first thing I did straight away after that was change. That was one thing, because that's the mental side for me. And then regarding my horses, I learned that maybe it was too soon. The partnership was not strong enough with my horse yet to go to such a big test. Even if I was getting good results, like I said, winning, I'd actually won, I had won 2 5-star Grand Prix by then. But it wasn't enough. You know, it wasn't enough. I didn't know him the way I know Bon Ami today, or the way I know Arpège today, or the way I know Quaker today. So that's a lesson for me. Don't go to the Olympic Games if you want to perform with a new partnership, pretty new.
Right.
And I think he wasn't really a horse for the Olympic Games, I'd say. He was a little bit temperamental, which, you know, he could win one day and one day he could be a little tense, and then it made things a little difficult. I think, again, either then the partnership has to be so good that I know how to handle that on that moment in such a big test, which wasn't the case, or I wanted to work on having a little bit more regular and steady horses to be able to perform. That every day of the week, you know how he is, or every day of the games, I know what to expect. So these are my general lessons from there.
Got it. Now, I've had actually a lot of clients who've been in a similar situation where, like I said before, federations can be a source of frustration, right? And having coached riders from all kinds of different nations, I know that to be true. And I know that unfortunately that is, you know, like, it doesn't matter really which country you ride for. Often the grass seems a little greener on the other side. What would be your, what do riders need to know actually about changing or switching nationalities?
Look, it's a huge decision because obviously I was born in Egypt. It's still in my heart, you know, the country that I was born in, and you know, my parents and so on. But I moved to Europe early on. I've lived more in Europe than I've lived in Egypt. So for me, it was obviously a very tough decision. And I had the Belgian passport already for 4 or 5 years prior, and I didn't think of changing. You know, I endured and endured. But I just think in the end, you need to feel comfortable to perform. It's like your horse. You as a person, you need to feel comfortable. You need to feel support. You need to feel that you're all working in the same direction to achieve amazing things. I mean, I don't know, unless you have some examples of people who achieve amazing things that don't have that, but every single example of the best football teams, the best riders and their teams, you look, they have harmony. They don't waste energy on all the cinema behind the scenes. The energy is put on how can we perform, how can I make my horse feel the best, how can I be on my best shape. So if you feel that the change is going to give you that, go for it. It's your life. You don't owe anyone an explanation.
Absolutely.
You know what? No one is paying my bills. And until that day is, I feel that no one is entitled to tell me what to do.
Indeed.
You know, they said to me, okay, Belgium was going to be tough and so on. Absolutely. It's at the moment one of the toughest countries. Maybe when I started to move, it was probably when Germany was at its best, comparable.
Right.
You know, but I knew whatever happens, it's going to set, the bar is going to be set higher. I'm going to have to improve. And that's what, like what I said in the beginning, I don't see a challenge and be like, oh shit, yeah, this is too tough and I have to accept that's not for me. And that's not my character. Maybe I hit the wall, but I go and I will try and I will keep trying until it works one day. So I knew it was always going to be positive. They treated me well. They give me my space. There is no weird things of, you know, not doing your entries or stuff like that. Here it's very simple.
Right.
So that would be my advice.
Great. Helpful. Talking about the bills, right? You're not only at the top of the sport, but you're also running a very successful trading and training business. You also started an auction last year.
Yeah.
How do you do it all? How do you manage to, because I know this is a dream for many, many riders, how do you manage to not only do it all, but actually do it well?
We try to do it well, so I have to start with that. For sure, we have a lot to improve, and there's many things that I think we can do better, and we're working on it. I think it's very, very simple. It goes down to I have amazing people around me. I mean, it's not a one-man show. I never wanted a one-man show. It's not my character. I like to win for us. I like to be successful with us. So, and I like to see our other team members succeed, like when Sam was going to the Europeans. And so, so it goes to a very, very simple thing, and that's I have amazing people around me. And I really work hard to try and get the best people around me, which is hard because a lot of them have their own lives and so on. But the loyal people that come and stick with me through the tough moments usually it pays off, and then you build a partnership, and I think that's the only way to grow.
Yeah, yeah. It's actually also something that Max Kuhner told me when I asked him, because he too has got a very successful business on the side of competing at the highest level.
Yeah, incredible actually.
Yeah, it is, right? And I think it just shows that it is possible, right? And a lot of riders feel like, well, in order for them to compete at the highest level, they have to have a sponsor. They have to have someone backing them financially. But there is obviously a downside to that, right? You're always going to have to, you know, you're not fully in control, let's say. Is that how you see it as well?
Yeah, and I mean, life taught me lessons. You know, when I started and I rode, obviously I didn't have the financial means. I was, Team Harmony had stopped, which was a nice sponsor at the time. But again, it's not that it was possible to go and buy horses with that money, but I was very grateful for it. But that had stopped. So I had to ride horses for other people. And then I came to the conclusion, I got the horses that other riders didn't want. They were a little bit towards the end of their careers. Or I got good young horses, which weren't going to help me today or tomorrow. And okay, I started working with them, I produced them, and then a few times early on in my career, you know, I'd ride a horse 6 months, and they tell me, oh, we don't want to sell when we start. All of a sudden, the first offer comes on the table, horse gone.
Yeah.
So that obviously, you know, it was good for the business side, but in my heart, I get a bit attached to my horses, especially the ones that ride top sport. I think to achieve really the amazing moments or those amazing jump-offs, you don't achieve with not going so deep in the partnership. But that also comes with a negative side. You get attached. So how can I sell? You know, it's difficult. I have to, obviously, sometimes, because otherwise I can't pay my bills. But at least now, when I sell my best horse, I can reinvest that money in my other ones and hopefully keep one or two on the side that I can do my sport with. But it's a process. It took years. You know, it started with a young 5-year-old and it led to where we are today.
Yeah.
But, you know, those people you cannot really count on. So I realized I have to own my own horses. Of course, I would have loved, maybe the best thing that happened to me is that I didn't get a sponsor those years because I had to find another way.
Yes.
So there's always in any negative situation, there's always a positive.
For sure. For sure. It just, are you looking for it or not, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, brilliant.
And it wasn't clear then. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, you remember the times when we were young and there was Michael van der Vleut and there was a group of us and William Whitaker and we were all really good friends. But it was hard for me because when I was a junior, I was pretty successful, I'd say. And then, you know, when I came to the real world and obviously the financial situation changed from my parents, so I had to start working. I went back to the bottom of the ladder and I saw my good friends, you know, just climb. Like Michael at the time went to the Olympics and I was like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
And I was knocking 3 down and 4 down, but I was probably going to 2 big shows with not the right horsepower.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm ambitious and I kept going a little bit and then they had the support, you know.
Yeah.
All respect for what they do, obviously. I'm not
Absolutely.
taking away from their credibility, but at that time they had the support.
Yeah.
So that led me or pushed me in the other direction to find a way.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? I think it's really important that you talk about this because I know so many people will relate to this, right? This idea, you know, I too had a phase where I was winning every weekend and then you get to the real world and suddenly you get eliminated every day.
Yeah.
You're like, you know, it's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
And what I've learned through this work is that these things will happen on your journey, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
But it's how we deal with it that shapes you.
That's true.
And that definitely has the biggest impact on your career, not the event itself, but how you deal with it, right?
Yeah.
And it sounds like you take things, setbacks, as an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to find another way.
I mean, I probably sound like it's really clear and easy for me, but to be honest, there were a few moments, especially when I was younger and in the beginning, it was very hard, you know, but even then I took them hard and they brought me really down, like in Cannes when I was eliminated at the World Championships in the middle of the triple combination with 22,000 spectators and a red jacket. Yeah, that was not a cool walk out, you know. But I took it hard. But again, a day 2 passes and your mind just switches to how can I work. In that moment, my mind switches to how can I work to get better.
Yeah.
Today, I wouldn't take it as hard, even if that would happen. I'd be for sure frustrated and annoyed. But like you said, now I've learned from going through these experiences to just see what needs to happen and move on from it in a strong way quicker.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about, because you were just earlier talking about the fact that you really connect with your horses. You said in order to really achieve great success with a horse, you have to go deep in that relationship. First of all, like, how do you do that with such a busy schedule?
It takes time, and I really try to have an inner circle for my horses within the big team, and that I run that a little bit separately from everything else. I'm very, very lucky now to have Marlon, who used to be Peter Fredrikson's main groom for 10 years, who worked with All In and everything. Again, talking about fantastic people. She started with me this year, but I think she's so much potential, a really nice person, Lilou, who's grooming for me. So they work very well together to make it possible. For example, I'd send them the plan for today. Between these hours, I need to spend time with my horses, but then I would really try to put my phone away and just be with my horse. You know, go up on the grass arena. I like to walk them in a lot. That's in general my thing, and really get into the horse. And so I'd say I'm able to do it because of the people and because of trying to restructure my days better. It's still my weakest point. I'm not great at it, but I've realized it's super important.
Why is it important?
Because you have to be present with your horse. It's like being with a child or a person or this conversation. I can't be sitting here, we talking and me checking my phone every 2 seconds. It's the same with the horse. I'll do, excuse my language, shit work. So that's something I realized. I take the time now also to get knowledge, seek knowledge. Going back to what we said early, I've had Marcus Beerbaum help me for over a year and a half, and he's been great help. Just the distance and his busy schedule obviously makes it more difficult. I seek knowledge with Philippe Lejeune, for example. He comes every 2 weeks and we spend a half day and we have fun. I learn so much from him. So that's my way to bond with my horses, is to slow down the world, shut off the outside world for these hours when I'm with my horses, and better structure to do it.
Yeah. So really being very deliberate about carving out time to quality time, right? Because it's not enough to just sit on a horse for 45 minutes, right? That's not the same as really being present with a horse.
Absolutely. I really believe this more than ever. And it just goes about planning and structure. And I know their whole program. I make the plan with my smaller team within the team, so Marlon and Lilou and our flat rider, and we'll make a program now working towards Falsterbo. You know, they have a program every day, what they're going to be doing. They're going to go out hacking and then they'll get flat work, or they go on the spa, or they go in the field. And I love the horses to be out as much as possible, to be horses, to be in the nature. And it's something that even the older I get, I value even more and more how important it is.
Yeah. What makes you value this more now?
To be honest, my partner Antonia, she really, a little bit this Swedish mentality. They are extreme in that way. Horses live outside and go hacking more than they see the arenas, which, okay, I think is very good. Obviously, growing up in Holland and Belgium, it's not, you also, you know, when you rode here, it's not the because of the space, I guess.
It's not the norm.
It's not the norm, you know. Of course, it's a part of it. I know Jos Lansing loved to go out and stuff in the forest a lot and work his horse on different surfaces, but still, it's not the norm. And I think integrating that, just made so much sense. And I just felt the horses are happier.
Yeah.
They're more relaxed. The sharp ones are more quiet. The stiff ones are more loose because they're walking, blood circulation, muscles are working. It just makes sense.
When we were talking earlier, I had to think of something Peter Fredrikson told me, that when he got the sponsor from H&M, he... Oh, hello.
Sushi.
Someone wants to be in the shot.
Yes, she wants to chat with you. Sushi. Hey. Hey. Come on.
Someone wants to steal the show, maybe.
Yeah. She wants to be in.
He told me that when he got the sponsor, he knew that, okay, I need to get better results, right? And he realized he had to change something. And as a result, he eliminated all the things that he could outsource. to really focus on the few things that are most important. And one of those things he
Amazing.
said was just to really focus on the horse. What does this horse need to get to the next level? And also, what does a horse need generally? And what you told me earlier really reminded me of that, right? You just looked at now towards the WEG, what does this horse actually really need? And how has that journey been for you? Have there been moments where you kind of forgotten about that, or not really went as deep with that in terms of, the essence, actually, what it's about?
It's so interesting to hear this, and again, it's nice. It's just reassuring to hear that, you know, a guy like Peter Fredriksson, who was former #1 and all the medals he has, he found that same conclusion. Of course, yes, and these are, you know, when you get spikes in your in your career, you go and win a Grand Prix because you've been really on it and spending the time and the energy it needs, and then you get a little bit sloppy because you realize, okay, that was very good. Now I just need to focus still on the business. I still need to focus on my office work. I need to focus on our operation in the States, our breeding program, our stallions, our auction. And then all of a sudden, oh, but I'm back at the show, and you just feel the flat work was not done right. The horse is too fresh. It's not often that I have rails because they're too tired. Honestly, I don't know if I have really spicy horses or what, but it's usually because they're too fresh, because the work hasn't been done properly. And I feel that, but I really now try to create as regular of a system as I can. That it's a system. Warm up is more or less the same with little changes. The schedule towards the show is the same. The way I pick the classes for each horse to prepare for a big class is the same. So I try to create regularity for everybody. It gives confidence and peace, and tweak it a little bit to get better as we go, but not making U-turns and weird turns.
Consistency creates consistency.
Is that so? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's nice to hear from you as well. Yeah,
definitely. Makes a lot of sense. And I think, again, it's really very helpful to hear for people watching this, because so often we want to do more, right? When there is this huge championship around the corner, we want to, you know, pull all the stops out and say, right, you know, we need to do everything we can. But as a result, we kind of let go and we forget about the most important thing, which is the connection with the horse.
Exactly. Exactly. And what led you to the success to be picked for that championship? You know, you weren't doing extreme things, you just do what you do a little bit better. And also for the horses, they shouldn't feel that pressure. I believe.
Yes, that's such a great point. The horses shouldn't feel that pressure. How do you make sure that the horse doesn't feel that pressure?
I make sure that I woo-saw when I start to get a little bit too haywire in my head and not going right in that moment. No, try to really focus on not letting my horse feel it. Working him well, but not longer. If that's what I did always, you know what I mean? No drastic changes. Same farrier, same food, same caretakers around him or her. Just nothing weird. No go trying new bits the week before, or a new way to warm up, or tweak little things as we go, but no weird changes.
Yeah, so important. Tell me a little bit more about your relationship with your horses. Like, what does it mean to you?
I love it. It's somehow some kind of therapy. Like, they are, this feeling when they give so much back to you. It also obviously means they feel well, they're in confidence, and it's so rewarding. Like, Arpege is now, okay, she's maybe not the week in, week out 5-star Grand Prix horse. She never was. I mean, when I bought her, I remember the phone call like yesterday. Marlon called me and he said, I have a really nice junior jumper for the States. Would you like to try her? I saw the video and I was like, didn't really love the video, but Marlon was a good friend, so I kind of forgot to call him back, and then he called me again. I said to Sam, at that time Sam was still based here with us.
Right.
Like, shit, Sam, we have to go to Marlon's. I feel a bit rude. He's a good friend. Come, let's just go at the end of the day, try this horse, and we come home. I really, honestly, going there, he'll laugh when he sees this. I had probably 10% intention to buy her. I said, okay, I'm just going to do it out of respect for him. And I must say, I just loved the horse. And then I said, okay, can she come tomorrow back to my place? He sent her here. I tried her in the indoor. I jumped big on her, and she just felt so smart when she was 8. And now she's 16. and she won the Falsterbo Derby last year, second the year before. Steve and I head-to-head both years. She won already 5-star Grand Prix for me. I jumped her the Nations Cup in Calgary. I mean, she has heart like a lion, but I also believe it's because there's trust between us. I love riding her. It's in the ring, I don't have to, I just think and she does. But that takes years and years of trust, you know. And going back a little bit to, you know, the work with Philippe Lejeune or also Marcus Beerbaum, what I learned from these guys is there's no shortcuts. There are a few, with all due respect to all my colleagues, but there are a few out there that not my style of doing things, and they're very, very successful. But I think it's super easy. Look how long their horses last. Usually a couple seasons and you don't see the horses again. And for me, what's really important is success, but not on behalf of my horses. And that sometimes takes a little bit longer, a few rounds with one down, because they're still figuring out the level. But once it clicks, then it's real. You know, you didn't build a building, you build a building on a strong foundation. Then it's easy for them because they've had the education, they do it on their own legs. And that's, for me, important. Sorry if that's a strong opinion, but that's how I feel.
I think it's really important that we actually speak our truth.
Yeah.
And it's an important truth to share. So thank you for that. How do you build that trust? You said it's that foundation is that it starts with trust. How do you build that for anyone watching this? Like, what are the first steps to achieve that?
I think you said a good point we discussed earlier is when you're riding them, put your time into them. So what we discussed there, I think trying, even though it's difficult, and I've made that mistake plenty of times, is not to go too quick up the levels. And that's something I really have to remind myself. Even though if it feels good one round, it doesn't mean that the next round you have to then push for more and more, especially when they're in the process of education. You know, that they always do it, and I know they don't smile, but that you feel they're doing it with a smile on their face.
Yes.
That there is a positive education, even if it's tough, but that they're in confidence.
Yes. Is that important, by the way, that you educate them in a space where it's not always easy? Because this is something that a lot of riders, they what I've experienced is they kind of want to keep it easy for the horse or keep them bubble wrapped, you know. But what I hear you say is it doesn't always need to be easy for the horse. Is that right?
Really, really good question. No, it's a little bit like you go to the gym. I mean, of course, there's many aspects to respect, but let's just talk about it in a simple example. You know, you lift the weight to cause a little bit of strain on the muscle to get stronger. It's the same also with us as people. You know, all the tough situations have taught me to be better. If everything was easy and I was getting a thumbs up and you're amazing, good, whatever, I wouldn't have learned.
Yeah.
Same with the horses. You have to, especially on the flat, they have to be through the body. They have to learn to carry themselves, get stronger. Because you're giving, I see it like that in the beginning. I was like, oh, you know, really don't go into these things. I don't want to upset my horse. But it's not upsetting. It's giving them the tools. And when they're in the ring, they have more tools and gears in their body to deal with the sport and the course and whatever else.
Right.
So yes, you have to push them a little bit, but I mean, it always has to be still on the line in the green side.
Yes.
Not on the side when they don't understand.
Yeah, that's it, right? It's such a fine line, and it comes down to really being so in tune with the horse to feel whether they have that smile on their face. Yeah. Or they're doing it with resentment, right?
And to care, you know, and to prioritize that.
Yeah.
Again, without going into too much detail, sometimes I see colleagues going in the ring and, you know, forcing a mistake on a horse or two or three and then winning the Grand Prix the next day. Do I value that? Me personally, no. I look up to people that really build their horses, and there's many, many names, but I can name a few quickly, like a Steve, like a Kent. You know, that like Ludger Beerbaum was back in the day when he was riding, John Whitaker. You see their horses last years and years and years, and I respect that. Verdi from Michael van der Vleuten went from 7-year-old jumping his first 150 in London with the father, Eric. I remember it like yesterday, until he was 17. 10 years of top sport.
Yeah.
And now you see some of the younger guys rising up to the picture. Yeah, they're winning. For me, I have no Respect. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I have no respect for that because it's on behalf of the horse.
Yeah.
When I see videos going around of horses going through the jumps and then winning the next day, that's not my thing.
So what you're saying is that, yes, your dream is to succeed, to win, to go to the big championships, and even more important still is to do that with a happy horse.
Yes, and I believe that that's the only way to do it for a long time. And I think if you look at consistency, well, you'll get more success over 10 years or 5 years or whatever, 8 years. It depends on how lucky you are with their health as well and how much they want to do it, than to do 2 seasons and then restart again, you know, from zero. I love that bond. I really like to feel that the horses are doing it because they enjoy to do it and they're doing it for us. That's what I think.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's very important to hear, and it's indeed the people that we love to watch in the ring are those who've created that bond, because it's not something maybe that you can put your finger on, but something about it you can just feel, can't you?
Absolutely. Like when I see Daniel Deusser, even with Tobago in the beginning, he's had some tough moments. He was a bit too careful. He needed a lot of support to educate him. I see it now with the stallion he has now as well. I've seen him in the beginning, and when I saw Daniel in the World Cup finals, wow, that was goosebumps, you know, motivating, inspiring, so much feeling, and the horse is fighting so much to leave the jumps up for him. For me, that's art. When I see Kent with Greya, when I see Steve with all his best horses, and again, there are many riders, I don't want to skip anybody, but there are a few also that I see out there and I'm like, okay, that's something I definitely don't want to do.
Yeah, yeah, that's okay, right? To kind of pick what works for you.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we got into the last question, which is, for anyone watching this, what advice can you give to create not only a successful riding career, but also to be able to do that with the freedom to keep a horse, to you know, this horse should go to this show and we can, but also you can cancel it because you own them.
I think, you know, you have to be ready to see the long-term investment. If you want it tomorrow, very difficult. I think you're going to have to be ready to put a lot of work, a lot of effort, and maybe not see directly the results. And if you're ready to work hard, dedication, perseverance, a little bit of patience, and I think you have to, whatever you do, build for the future. Even if you start with a partnership with a breeder, you know, maybe invest in 50% in the horse, or, you know, take the costs and against the share in the horse, and build for the future. And one day, I do believe if you do things right and your reputation is good, that's something also very important, to try and keep a very good reputation. Of course, not easy, because you will upset some people by one way or another. If you do stuff, you'll make mistakes, and that's just how life goes. But in general, if you keep a good, honest reputation, good things will come your way. And in our case, also our sponsor, Watnan, I never planned for this. I never seeked it. It just came my way, you know. Results were there, the right people, through a good friend who did the introduction, and all of a sudden it's building into something very nice. Just came my way. But if you try hard, you work hard, you create your own luck, and that's the advice I'd like to give.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
all
man.
this wisdom and knowledge.
Listen, I hope it helps, and it was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.